Go and give me a 2 minutes, like at the end, because I don't have,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't see the time here.
What do I need to do?
We're good to go. We're rolling.
Live?
We're live.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Green Room. It is number 96 for us, which is astounding. So 4 more till that 100 mark. And Dr. Barry is in Galapagos, just as an update. He's enjoying his trip. He should be back in 2 weeks. He's gone to Machu Picchu and now he's in the Galapagos, so enjoying his break. So today we'll talk a little bit of politics and a lot of politics. And we have 2 special guests this morning. We have 2 people who are candidates for County Commissioner District 2. They're both Democrats. They're both local Floridians, which is an amazing thing in its own right. But they are vying for a seat on the County Commission. For those listeners that are listening, just so that both Mike and Fred that you're aware of, our listeners are across the United States. So for those who are tuning in that are not in Florida, you have to understand the politics and dynamics of Sarasota County, Florida, which is where we're at. We have not had a county commissioner who's non-Republican for 50 years. So there's the seat that they're vying for is an open seat. Obviously, we would like to have both parties represented in our county. Just so that you know, our green room is a green room. We don't favor any political party over one another. We've had guests that are on both sides of the fence, and we will invite also any candidate that is running on this seat for the Republican Party as well. So saying that, I'd love to welcome my 2 guests. I have Mike Constantino and Fred Atkins on this morning. So I will let Fred, you will take I'll give you a 3-minute stump speech, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself. And then right after that, we'll have Mike and we'll get into some topics about Sarasota County. So take it away, Fred.
Thank you. Appreciate you all having me on this morning. Those international viewers, I'm glad to be here. I'm Fred Atkins, candidate for County Commission, Sarasota County. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Sarasota and Sarasota County area, born and raised. Would love to be the representative for Sarasota County District 2. My information is also available on fredatkins.com. You can go and visit me. I'm a candidate that is the most authentic candidate in this process. I'm the candidate that has been a city mayor of the city of Sarasota, served 3 terms, also served 18 years on the city commission in separate sprints on the city governmental board. What I like to do is continue my involvement with the county as a representative of the people. I think that what I brought to the table as a neophyte in 1985 will go on as an advanced veteran for the county. We need that experience, we need the understanding of the process, and we need the knowledge and experience that I have, not only environmental experience. We have in the city of Sarasota, we rectified a lot of the problems that the county would not address, such as stormwater drainage, such as the estuary situation, such as fertilizer dumping into the bay. And also, the Sarasota County refused to address the sewage wastewater treatment facilities. At the city of Sarasota, we were able to do that even without them. They ended up suing us for addressing positively those conditions. But we won, and then we sued them for dual taxation problems and won that. Here we are in a situation in Sarasota County where I have worked over 40 years to change that election voting in Sarasota County so that we can get single member districts. Now, I am the person that have put in the time, put in the work, put in the effort to represent the people of Sarasota County. I have shown them that I am the best candidate for this position at this time. So here I am, Fred Atkins, candidate for County Commission, District 2, representing you, the people. fredatkins.com.
Great. Thank you, Fred, for that introduction. Just so that our listeners know, Fred mentioned single member districts in our county up until a year ago. there were what was called the seats were at large. So we actually, if you ran for an office, you had to run for the entire county, which is a vast county. So you would have to run from northern Sarasota down to Northport, which is the most southern town in our county. So you're talking a stretch of perhaps over an hour of driving time and hundreds of thousands of people who live in these communities. So the reach was really difficult. So there was an initiative in Sarasota County to make it single member, meaning you're going to only have to run in the district that you live in, and you don't have to run at large, which is making it a lot more competitive for candidates because it makes it one less expensive to run a race like that. And two, you get your community of who you're going to represent, even though you will represent the entire county, it's easier to maneuver and actually get in touch with all those people for voting. So it was a win for the county, I believe, for the people when we turned it to single member districts versus at large. So just to give you a little bit of insider on the inside politics here, I would like also just to quickly, before I introduce Mike Constantino, is to mention there is a third candidate on the Democratic ticket, Hagan Brody. He was not able to make today's meeting. I'm sure his name will come up during the conversation here as we progress with talking about politics and who's best suited for the seat. So just so that everyone knows, there is a third candidate. There's also candidate Lourdes Ramirez, who's running on the Republican ticket. So we've invited her onto the show as well. So she didn't answer. Actually, her campaign didn't respond today, but we will address her again and see if she's willing to come on. So we do have a second candidate right now who's present with us today. His name is Mike Constantino. He's also a Florida and Sarasota native resident. So Mike, give us your stump speech.
Thank you, Ruta. And I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate what you guys do, because I think that it really boils down to voter education. And the more...
Uh-oh. Oh, we lost audio. Oh, we froze on Mike. So we will try to reconnect. Mike, we lost you. So we're gonna try to reconnect with him.
And
here we go.
Okay. Did you lose me there?
We did. So can you backtrack just a few seconds, just because we lost you, it froze.
Sure. And you know what? That's weird, because that happened when you were speaking earlier. So just let me know and I can backtrack. But
sure.
Basically, one of the big problems we have here, one of Siesta Key's most famous authors, John D. McDonald, he died several years ago, but he wrote a book in 1976 called Condominium, which basically spelled out the kind of the corruption of the city of Sarasota and county and the explosive growth on the islands of condominiums at the time. And he followed that up with a 1978 book called The Empty Copper Sea. And there's a quote from that book that I often use. And it's basically describes our perils as a community. And what he says in there is that the reason that Florida can never really come to grips with saving itself is because a very large percentage of the population at any time just got here. And why would they fight to turn the clock back? They like it fine just the way it is. Well, after they've been here a few years and start to feel a little uneasy, a few thousand people are just discovering it all for the first time and wouldn't change a thing. And so what ends up happening is eventually, by the time they're here 20 years, they just become part of an ever dwindling minority with a voice too faint to be heard. And so I think that what we need to do is set our partisan differences aside. When you look at Sarasota, there really aren't any partisan differences, issues that come before the Sarasota County Commission. It's about responsible growth, responsible fiscal responsibility, protecting and preserving the public spaces and places for future generations to enjoy. And that's pretty much it. So the divisiveness that I see is really unwarranted, because I think, and you can look to the charter amendments that I got on the ballot in 2018, which passed with 73 and 67% of the vote. And it's just about protecting our parks, preserves, beach and water accesses and things of that nature. So anyway, my mom was a 1952 Sarasota High graduate. My father started the construction company that I run today in 1956. I have spent my whole life here, loved it, been fighting for public rights for a very long time. I've actually litigated against the county for several years in defending those charter amendments. I've actually done legal research, writings. I've argued before the local court and the appellate court. And the knowledge that has given me, in my opinion, we need solutions to our problems. We don't need to just talk about them. And the solutions come down where the rubber meets the road is in the legal sense. And as the owner of Sarasota's oldest construction company, I'm intimately familiar with the development review process and with our land development regulations. And the litigation that I've been through, I've become very, very skilled, I guess you could say, at the legal process, statutory and case law, and how all these things go together. And that's really the only way we can fix it. And so with all due respect to Mr. Atkins, he just doesn't have the skill set that's needed to fix our problems. And quite frankly, 6 years ago, before this litigation began, I didn't have it either. But now I do. And everything comes down to the legal basis. I would actually...
Oh, sorry, Mike. I don't want to interrupt you, but
okay.
my question, we only have a half hour, so I wanted to get a little more interactive on both sides.
Sure.
And also so that they have a broader view of both of you. So this is my question. So we have a county commission made up of 5 Republicans currently.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
even with having one voice as from the other side, how do you see yourself voting in making change when 4 out of the 5 seats still are going to probably vote differently than you may, especially when it comes to overgrowth and development? For those who are not from Sarasota and in Sarasota County and Florida in general, just so that you know, we've had an explosion of growth over the last several years. And in particular, since COVID, housing has skyrocketed. Prices are through the roof, not only for rent. We'll address that too, because that's a topic I'd like to hear. Actually, we can sort of make it maybe a combination question of overgrowth, of affordable housing. How do you guys see making change on when you're sitting on a panel with 4 other people who may not look at the world of Sarasota as we or you may, where you do want to kind of control growth?
I get the question.
And do, affordable housing. So I'd like to hear both of you. It's going to be short and sweet. So I'm going to give you like a minute and a half each on a response, just because we have other questions to go along with that.
Here's the bottom line. And again, this is what differentiates me from my 2 primary opponents on the Democratic side. And my friends have even said, why would you want to go up there and get frustrated by being on the wrong end of a bunch of 4-to-1 votes? The bottom line is, the commissioners that we have, they have an R by their name, but there's no Republican values out there. They're all just shills for the development community. And so what happens is, and I've written extensive articles about this that I've published in the Herald Tribune and the Siesta Sands. When the county needs to bend or break a law for the development cabal that put them in office, they have a floor full of taxpayers.
I lost him again.
Yeah.
Mike, we lost you. We had you freeze. So actually, Fred, we'll hear from you first, and then we'll hopefully get Mike back on.
Yes, I hope he can get back on. But the reality of the situation is that Mike come with this masquerading of legal disposition when actually he's not. What he does is get up attorneys together. And so what I'm understanding is that the county has a cadre of attorneys that's working for them. And I have a cadre of attorneys that's helping advise me on situations that will be addressing the county. So we have a situation where we have to use experience from people that are experts, not neophytes that's learning how to be attorneys. My concern is that when we move forward, candidates for the Sarasota County Commission that's going to be sitting there will have to know how to work with 4 opposing. And my experience is that I sat on the Sarasota County City Commission when, not only was I the first African-American ever elected to Sarasota County, but I was also the Democrat that was sitting there at the time also. And so the reality is that I understand how to get things done. When you look around the city of Sarasota, I was on a 3-2 vote that helped this stadium. Also did the Robert L. Taylor complex. We pressed through and got affordable housing for the city of Sarasota. The new HUD complex that is presently being finished at the old project area, is definitely a project that came out of a 3-2 when me and two other commissioners sat there, and we basically asked the HUD director to leave the city of Sarasota because he was not coordinating the program properly. And they came in with a comptroller so that they can manage that project more readily. So the possibilities of me being more veteran experienced in how to operate with the other commissioners at Sarasota County is very high. The reality is that, ladies and gentlemen, 5 people very seldom agree on the same thing. So what you have to do, figure out what they are agreeing on at the time. And we have to develop a how to leverage and barter and move our positions around so that we can make things happen for the people that we represent. And see, my struggle is that I'm going to be representing all the people of Sarasota County. And I don't have any problem doing that because that's my experience. That's what I do. I do not come from the beach. I do not come from the ball. I do not come from a wealthy construction family that was a developer up until late. And now here we are sitting, waiting for them to make it happen. I have, and I know how to do it, and I will continue.
Mike, just so, thank you, Fred. Mike, just so that you know, you froze again, so we're going to give you your time back to address that question.
Okay. So again, what I was saying is, and I guess after listening to Fred, I think he represents, certainly he is a career politician and has an 18-year history of really not getting anything done for the people of Newtown or for the people of Sarasota. And when he talks about straightening out the sewer system, that was done under a consent order by the state, the same way that the county is doing it now. It had nothing to do with any initiative on the part of the city. When it talks to the stormwater drains, you look at these condos being built downtown, they use an EFIS system where they cover the outside of the building with a styrofoam and then they shave it down so that the stucco can run to it. And just ask Johnny Walker, all that stuff is going straight into the sewers and straight into the bay right down there at Marina Jack. So nothing has been done. These things absolutely still need to be addressed. Hence, Hudson Bayou is still one of the most lead polluted creeks in the entire United States. The creek running behind Martin Luther King Park on 27th Street is one of the most polluted little creeks in the United States of America. So I take exception to the fact that something was done on the behalf of my opponent in that. Back to what I can specifically do. I have the personal knowledge, and when it comes down to the 4-to-1 votes, the votes aren't going to happen because I have the knowledge, experience, and skill to put the county attorney in the unenviable position of choosing between perjuring himself and losing his job and losing his pension or telling the truth. And I don't need to call an attorney to get his advice because I know what I'm doing. I'm intimately familiar with Chapter 163 of the Florida Statutes, which is the Community Planning Act, the Municipal Home Rule Powers Act of 1973, and all of the things. So it is directly me, that will confront the county attorney and prevent him from coaching the commission on how to break the law. So it is me that will make the difference. And I respect that Fred and I have both litigated against the county, but where I did my own legal research and writing and arguing with the assistance of attorneys, he was just a name on a page, and there were people that were hired to do that for him. So he didn't have any skin in the game. He didn't have any money in the game. And to accuse me and my company of being from the development cabal is kind of an affront to my father and to me in the 60 years that we've spent responsibly building in Sarasota. Churches, schools, we aren't the subdivision builders. We've never made a donation to any candidate for any reason. And I got to tell you, here's my elect Fred button. And the last time he ran, I donated to his campaign and
Oh, he froze up again. So we'll move on to a different subject. So this is something that all of us are getting impacted by, and that is growth in this county. All of us feel the traffic. All of us feel the housing crunch. All of us are getting, some of us are even getting priced out of living in our own community.
Hello, am I back?
Yeah, you just
Am I
got back.
So
But,
all I want to do to finish that up,
Mhm.
I campaigned for Fred against Mike Moran, and he was definitely better than Mike Moran, but he doesn't hold a candle to me. He just doesn't have the skill set that's needed. He's a career politician. I appreciate that. But quite frankly, I think that I'd like to hear from Mr. Atkins. There's no question that the gentleman that chose not to be here today is an absolute shill from the development community. All you got to do is look at the people who are donating to his campaign, and it's very clear. And I think that Fred and I pretty much agree on that. But when it comes to being able to solve the problems, I think Fred is actually very good at talking about the problems. I'm the one that can solve them.
Can I, kind of talking about money and where it's coming from.
Sure.
Sarasota has a long history of a cabal and of certain developers like Neil and others that that actually donate very heavily to candidates of their choice. You mentioned another candidate that may perhaps have had money, and it's public knowledge of where they donations come from,
Yes,
because it is, it is. It's something that has to be published. How are you going to combat the fact that perhaps some candidates are getting backed by this cabal and by these developers? And how do you see combating that when you're running a race? Granted, it's a different district. It's only District 2 now. It's a much smaller race. But still raising funds against a candidate who perhaps is backed by big money or dark money in some cases, where we're not sure who's donating to whose campaign. So how do you fight that? And what are you guys doing as far as fundraising and trying to match the funds which are needed to get your names out there?
Want me to answer that?
Sure, Fred, you go first, then we'll have Mike go.
Hey, I don't think this is fair to Mike for him to keep going in and out. You probably need another opportunity with the two of us. But my opponents both have big money. One has gotten money in their own pocket, and one has gotten money from everybody that's big developers in Sarasota County. My concern is that I've always ran to keep people.
Why is it freezing? Is it
It's
on their
wherever
side?
they're at.
I don't know.
Okay, is Fred froze this time now? Mike, you're up.
I think,
Okay.
yeah,
We have to redo it.
this is, Fred, are you back?
Yeah, Fred's back now, I think.
Yeah.
Fred,
Yeah, we have to have really strong internet connections next time. We'll have you guys back on because the connections are not good.
sure. Fred, feel free to go ahead if you're on.
No, Mike.
No audio.
We having enough problems without you interviewing me. Let's have the lady finish her program.
That's a little weird.
No, go ahead, Mike, go ahead. Because like I said, it's going in and out. We'll just need a stronger connection. We'll have you guys both on where it's we'll just need you guys to have a really, really good access to strong internet service, because they're both freezing.
Sure. So I can tell you that, again, my parents were, they started out like most young couples, broke, and my dad put the nose to the grindstone. Heck, I've had the same workman's comp company for 60 years. The attack that somehow I did something wrong by having successful parents is a little bit of an affront. I can tell you that, I don't have money. I've been a carpenter my whole life. Now I'm a general contractor by license, but I put on a tool belt and go to work every day. And I think that the things that financed my my lawsuit against the county, I sold a bar. I sold my share of a shopping center. I sold my father's old office, and those were all given. I do have skin in the game. I put my money into fighting for the people. So it's more than just lip service on my part. It's actually blood, sweat, tears, and money. And I don't have any more. I spent it all. And what these lawsuits have basically shown me is that you can't win from the outside. You need to be sitting in the seat. And that's what I'm trying to do. And so, again, I've been to many, many dozens of commission meetings, from the city of Venice to the city of Sarasota to the county commission meeting, and over issues from the beaches out to the boondocks. And the one thing that they all have in common is I've never seen Fred at any of them. And so I appreciate the fact that every 4 years he shows up and throws his hat in the ring, but I'm day in and day out in the trenches, and I always have been. Now, he did some wonderful things in the 70s, and I very much appreciate that, but the world has kind of passed him by. And we need to get somebody that has the legal skills and the moxie to stand up to the rest of the commission, to stand up to the development cabal, and to stand up to the county attorney and force positive change for our future.
Fred, I'll let you rebut that. And we have 3 minutes left, so I'll ask you for a quick, like a 1 minute rebuttal if you can.
Thank you. I don't see how the world has passed me by. I think I'm younger than him. But the reality is that he capitalized on his dad, and he's you can be a carpenter son for your dad's company for 50 years, and you be happy, and then you be able to contribute $35,000 to your campaign. I appreciate that. I applaud you all. But we know that the advantages you have, handicaps that I have, do not justify you equalizing that. So the reality is that Fred Atkins is a self-made person. My mother probably worked on Siesta Key near where your home was, cleaning up the bathrooms, cleaning up the apartments. So that's part of my history. I'm a reality candidate. I'm a candidate that is willing to participate in this process in a real way. I've always done that. Nobody has never said Fred Atkins was bought or have bowed. And when he says he's been working for the people, he was working for himself. All that money he put in was to save his own front door. And that was about his private beach. That was about his concerns for himself. So that's masquerade in reality.
Fred, that is so inappropriate. I really don't even know how to say it. My mother grew up on Lido Key, and she was non-ambulatory her last few years of life. And I would take her down to that little area of Siesta Beach and let her enjoy the sunset like she did when she was a little girl. So when the county gave that up, I chose to litigate. I actually bought a piece of beach property down there to keep it in public ownership and control. I do a military tribute on my private property every morning and night. I invite the public to come out there at all times. And if you'd have been down there on Memorial Day weekend like I was, when there were armed security guards patrolling the beach, throwing people out, everyone's on my property. So I didn't buy beach property to own it. I bought it to share it with the public and to keep these other people from owning it. All I'm doing is playing adult keep away. So I'll tell you right now, Fred, why don't we have a 2 or 3 hour debate? Because really all I need to do is show the difference on what you're saying, because you're attacking me in an extremely unfair manner. And the fact of the matter is you just don't have the skills that are needed to take us where we need to go. And I would invite you to have a more lengthy debate. And we can even have some prearranged questions. So I know the people that are helping you, I know you know how to read a speech, but what I know how to do is fight and use the law to protect the people of Sarasota County. And
but I would like to invite both of you back, in all fairness of the mic freezing. Like I said, whether perhaps maybe we can even do it in the studio or something, so that this way we don't have that, because even for our listeners, it's kind of hard if people are going in and out with connections. So to be fair to both of you, I would prefer to do this again, perhaps, like I said, live. And perhaps at that point, our candidate our third candidate might be here, and who knows, maybe we can get the Republican Republican candidate and just do a massive debate, like you said, and give it like at least 1 hour where there's everybody on the panel. And I'll speak to Don, our producer, about that, and Barry when he comes back to perhaps host a debate, because you guys have your primary coming up in August. So it's really sooner than we think. We only have a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to give you each 1 minute to wrap up. Give yourselves a plug. Tell us how to donate to your campaign if somebody wants to donate, how to get in touch, help, whatever you need, boots on the ground. So I'll give you guys each 1 minute before we wrap. Fred, we'll start with you and we'll go to Mike.
Yes, thank you very much. I certainly appreciate this opportunity to speak to the people of Sarasota County and the world. But the reality is that Fred Atkins should be helped by the people of Sarasota County, not only your vote, but I need your support financially and to volunteer in all capacities. I do not have the money to buy staff. I do not have the money to pay everybody that I need to move around for me. What I need is persons that want an opportunity to participate in the government of Sarasota County. FredAtkins.com will collect your donations and you can sign up to volunteer. We need you because Sarasota County needs you. The possibility of us moving forward in a unified way without the developers, without their influence in our process, is much more readily available if you vote for Fred Atkins. FredAtkins.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred. Mike?
Thank you, Ruta. And again, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm a little saddened by the contentiousness of today's debate. I didn't expect to come on here and be attacked for what I construe as a relatively impeccable record of public service. All I really did was continue the lessons of giving back to the community that I learned from my mom and dad my whole life. My website you can visit, it's ilikemikesrq.com. Certainly I would appreciate any help, whether it's volunteer help or financial contributions. Fred and I certainly aren't going to be able to compete with the development money coming towards Mr. Brody. But quite frankly, I think what we need to do is we just need to do the work. We need to pound the pavement. We need to meet the people. And really, I think that all I'm hoping for is that people educate.
Okay. So again, I'm going to invite both candidates back because the freezing just keeps on happening. So I'm going to say bye. Fred's leaving already. For all our listeners, I'm going to do a quick wrap up. Obviously, we've had gun control issues coming up. Oh, Mike. Oh, sorry, Mike. We lost you. Go ahead, wrap up. We'll give you 30 seconds to wrap.
That's it. Just call me at home, 941-2584. I'd be happy to answer your questions. I'm always available. My steadfast advocacy from saving Turtle Beach Campground from becoming a parking lot in 2004 to protecting our beach access to trying to preserve our parks and preserves and beach and water accesses. I think the choice will become clear if the voting population is kind enough to do their research into the candidates. I think the choice becomes clear. So I appreciate you very much. I appreciate your time, Ruta, and your advocacy. I just want to throw in one thing. I'm hosting a group of special forces tonight at 10 Beach Road. They're coming down. They'll be here actually through the weekend. I'm setting them up with playing golf with different businessmen around the community. They're transitioning out. It's a group of great Green Berets. So please come down to Patriots Pier at Sunset Point, 10 Beach Road, and show your support for the troops that provide the blanket of freedom that we all sleep under every night.
Oh, fantastic. Sounds like a fantastic event. So please, if you have time tonight, please go and visit 10 Beach Road. That sounds like a great opportunity to meet with some fantastic veterans. Just on our quick note, we'll be back again next week at 8:30. We're not sure of the show yet. Just quickly, our thoughts and prayers obviously are with the families of Oval, Texas. can't say enough about the need for gun control at this point, but that will be a topic for another discussion at some point. For Ukraine, our prayers are still with you, Slava Ukraini. Thank you to Fred Atkins and to Mike Constantino for coming on today. We will welcome them back and hopefully live. So this way our listeners can have uninterrupted time with these candidates. Just on a quick note, Nikki Fried, who's running for governor of Florida, will be speaking at Martin Luther King Park today at 3 o'clock. We invite everybody to go and listen. It's a great opportunity to hear somebody who's a candidate for governor live in a very intimate setting. So please go head out to Martin Luther King Park at 3 p.m. today. Outside of that, Dr. Berry, we wish you safe travels in Galapagos, and we'll see all our listeners next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you, Ruth.